People are about to lose their asses. This is about to be crazy with student loan debt here. People don't want to go back to work.
People don't want to work.
People don't want to work. People got new cars. People have a lifestyle that far exceeds their income. And here we go. We're at it again. Student loan debt is here. It's reared its ugly little head, and it's ready to snatch some money right from underneath your nose.
So how can we help you to prevent losing your ass? Well, we're not going to promise that you won't, but what we will say are there are some things that you can do to help reduce the blow. First things first, create a budget. Please, please, please create a budget. Be very honest with yourself, right? Make sure that you include your student loan payment that's in your budget. I'll tell you what, one of the major things that you need to consider is what is your income, what are your expenses, and how much can you afford on your student loan repayment.
Here's what people don't realize. It's super easy to create a budget. Just simply grab your bank statement, sit down. It's going to take you about 15, 20 minutes. Go over everything that you spent your money on, right? And then you're going to write that down in terms of a number, and then just go to your pay stub, multiply that thing by 2, not by 3. Sometimes it's by 3. It really depends on the months and how you're paid, if you're paid bi-weekly. And then you're able to determine how much money you have left over after you subtract. It's that simple.
Also consider that the organization holding your student loan will tell you what your payment amount due is.
Oh, that's a cheat code.
There are some things that you can do to help reduce your student loan payment.
Let me tell you, when I had a student loan debt, I'll be honest with you, some of the worst parts of my life was having this stupid debt with interest that was building every single day. I'd work extremely hard to get this thing paid, every single month. And I just didn't feel like I was making strides simply because I was paying every single month.
Well, what were some things that you did to reduce that payment? I mean, because it's a payment, it's there. And if you don't pay it,
I started to understand what amortization meant. And this meant that I was being charged interest every single day. So that means that if I were to pay my bill twice a month, I can actually cut down some of that interest that was being billed to me per month. So then I started getting real tricky with it. I started making payments every single week, literally almost cutting my bill in half, paying the same amount, but just paying on that sucker every single week.
So, okay, let me just kind of dumb this down a little bit, right? So if you had a student loan payment of, let's just say $400, each week you paid $100.
I pay $100 on that.
On Monday, on Friday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, what, just $100?
Yeah, just $100. It really doesn't matter. Just having a schedule alone, and having the fortitude to sit down and just literally just make your payment is good enough. So it doesn't matter if it's on Wednesdays or Thursdays, just sit down and just make that payment. If you can't do it 4 times in a month, then at least do it twice.
So you hear that, folks, right? Take your payment and break it down to each week to help reduce that rate every single month. And you'll actually be paying more on your student loan than you think.
But here's why I'm seeing people are really they're really freaking out. I'm trying to create emergency funds for that rainy day, but I'm drowning in just bills and debt, and now all of a sudden I've got this student loan that's rearing its head again. So what do I do with this emergency fund? How do I sit down and actually try to calculate some extra money at the end of the month to create an emergency fund? This really boils down to the specific person. What plans do you have in the very near future that's going to require an emergency? I'd say this, if you're fairly young and healthy, just focus on getting that debt paid off, right?
But that's the thing. Nobody plans on the emergency, right? A car accident, flat tire. Nobody really plans on those. So wouldn't you think like you could reduce the amount that you need in your emergency fund?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, it comes down to that budget. So after ensuring, how much money you're going to have left at the end of the month, that's your emergency fund, right? You've got some FU money to go around and go to the restaurants, maybe go see a movie every now and then. And if you don't, then cut everything in half and stop doing the things that you're doing. It's that simple. And the rest of the money is going to go towards an emergency fund. It's that simple.
What's an FU money?
It's that money that you want to go out and say, you know something, I want to splurge a little bit. I want to splurge on me. I want to feel good. There are those that are that feel good about shopping. I'm not necessarily that one, but if that is you, I understand. And you just want to go out and just feel good about some of the hard work that you've done throughout the week, right? Everybody works. I hope that you work extremely hard throughout the week. And you want to reward yourself. Now, I'm not saying do it every single week, not even twice a month, but go out every now and then, whether it's McDonald's or, go buy yourself a shirt or some pants. And that's that FU money. Like, you know something? F you, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to do something for myself. And that's all right.
So you heard it here, right? You can't F you all the time. You have to make sure that you now have a student loan payment that needs to be made. So your splurging is going to be reduced, right? But you still have to, you're still going to want to be able to have entertainment, have some fun, but it is going to be reduced down to a minimum. And that is where you don't want to lose your ass.
So let's talk about these IDRs, income-driven repayment plans. These things are becoming more and more popular. This is where the provider, the lien holder of your loans, will sit down and look at your income. I mean, you're gonna have to provide them some information. They're gonna say, all right, based on this information that we have, here's what we think that you can afford, because we know that you wanna have a little bit of FU money, so we wanna make this reasonable. Be careful with these things, because oftentimes these can extend your loan. So you may have a loan that's scheduled to be paid off in the next 20 years. This may extend it for the next 5 more additional years, 7 additional years. So really be careful about these IDRs. They are a slick way to just dig further into your pockets and gather up some more interest.
And it's not a bad idea once you do get approved for an IDR that you still, if you have extra money, still pay towards your student loan. Every little bit counts, folks. Don't just assume that you got an extra 150, 250. Slide some of that to your student loan. You don't necessarily have to put it into your entertainment bucket. Remember, this is the time for you to make sure that you get ahead.
Let's go into refinancing.
Oh,
now
yes.
we talked about these IDRs. Now another popular subject is let me refinance. Let me take some of these loans. Let me take some of these federal loans and get them refinanced. What's your thoughts on that?
So I really think that if you're doing your due diligence, you'll explore refinancing your student loan. There are private lenders out there that could potentially offer you a lower interest rate, which would then lower your payments every single month, right? You can take all of your student loans, consolidate them into one payment and reduce your interest rate. Potentially, I highly suggest checking out SoFi. No, this is not a paid advertisement.
It can be.
But it can be. But also, it's something that I've used before, SoFi. And SoFi actually, they look at your, not just your credit worthiness, but they also look at your education.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yes, SoFi asks about your education. So, man.
They want to take the smartest ones.
They want to take that person that has definitely invested in themselves. They do base a lot of their loan decisions. I don't know what percentage you would need to call SoFi. But they do base it off of your education, your level of education.
I would say SoFi is a good company because I actually invested in SoFi before they actually went under the name SoFi. It was a SPAC. Shout out to SoFi because they made us a lot of money before going officially public under the name SOFI. That's just a little small plug. But after you get refinanced, if that's the direction that you want to go, and by taking some of those maybe federal dollars and get them refinanced under a public company.
Private.
No, they're public, man. SoFi is good. SoFi is
Wouldn't it be a private lender?
Well, they're a private lender, but they're a public company. So I guess I'm talking, apples and oranges here.
Good to know.
Yep. So prioritizing, now that you've got a lower interest rate, now you start to prioritize what you're paying based on interest rates. So if you've got 5 or 6 loans, which a lot of people, if you have student loans, you know what I'm talking about. You've got all these little separate loans, right? Some are at 6.12, 5.8, 4.2. You want to tackle the ones that are the highest. In some cases, like a Dave Ramsey would say, you know something? No. Tackle the ones that are lower first that feel good about paying off some of the debt. I really don't care which one you do. I've done both. I like paying off, loans based off of, they may be a lower interest rate and maybe there's only a couple $100 to pay on that thing. It actually does feel good. But as I get a little older, I know that interest is not my friend in terms of what interest is charging me. So I like to tackle the higher interest, stick it to the man for a little while and get out of the rat race.
Yeah, that's that's really good advice. And I too have looked at Dave Ramsey's process, and I feel like it's very, very beneficial. I am a person that takes the lowest balance because that's like the low-hanging fruit for me, and I feel good when I've paid off that low balance. But hey, to each his own. Tomato, whichever one, pay them off, right? Make sure you're making those payments to student loan repayment. The other thing that I want to actually talk about is what about those extra payments, right? We talked about you're breaking yours into 4 months, but does it help to make extra payments on your student loan?
Yeah. We touched on this earlier. So making extra payments. So you've got an extra $10 laying around, an extra $20 laying around. Don't look at this as being just so minimal. It can actually go a long way when you start to compound an extra $10 a week or even $10 a month. So yes, you dump that money into your student loan debt. At the end of the day, my call of action is to get rid of student loan debt. It is going to eat people alive. I can't say this. When the student loan debt was on pause, I told people, continue to pay on it, and you will be surprised how many people were not paying on this debt. And now that it's here, oh man, people sweating bullets. So it's no wonder why paying just an extra $10 or $20 can go such a long way. So I am an advocate for always paying extra. We pay extra on mortgage. We pay on mortgages. We pay extra on anything that we have loans on. It could be a HELOC. We're gonna always pay extra. We never pay the minimum because I don't like interest. You have to learn to grow to hate interest. It is not your friend. Don't think they're giving you a break. The federal government is not giving you a break. If you see a bill, they want to collect money, and what they do with that money doesn't even concern you. You have no control. So just pay as little debt, pay as little interest as possible. Pay more on debt, and pay as little as interest as possible. So super important. That's my call of action to everybody.
And the other thing is do your research. You may work for an organization that is a public loan forgiveness organization.
Hold on. This is a YouTube channel. People subscribe and watch us so that they don't have to do the research, so that we can tell them exactly what to do. Like, we're gonna cut everything out to make your lives a whole lot easier. So let's give one example of what they can do to provide their service provider and how they can actually get that cut in half, if not forgive them. Just give them one example.
So if you work in the education field and you are in a low income area, you can actually have a portion or all of your student loan forgiven. You need to actually call them. They are not going to call you to ask you if you work in any of these industries. You need to make that call. You need to let them know that you work for a nonprofit, early education or education facility or career,
even government
and government, and where you're employed at. There are a list, and if your company is not on there, you need to find out how to get them on.
Go to that service provider and go to one of the tabs and find out what qualifies as an organization, as a company, as a profession, what qualifies you to actually have it reduced.
So one of the things that we also talk about, and you are really great at doing this, and just let me know if it's possible, can you negotiate your rate, your student loan rate?
You can. Negotiating your interest rate is going to be...
That's what I meant.
Yeah. that's going to be a little tougher. Because an interest rate is just that, right? It's based off of so many variables about, your city tax code, your county, the federal government, and a lot of these loans are locked in. But if you refinance, going back to something earlier that we talked about, and you go to one of those public lenders or private lenders, whatever one you want to call it, they're going to get you into a new interest rate. Sometimes it may not even be favorable. So you may have a federal student loan that's say 4.12, right? For the next, 10 years. SoFi is going to say, well, hey, listen, we can get you into a 6.5. Well, that's more than 4.12, but we're going to extend that out an additional 10 years. And that's the caveat. These companies are not going to do this stuff for free. Sure, they want to take on your loan, but you have to know this is a capitalistic society, and they want to make money just like you do. 'Cause when you're done with all of this, when you're done getting your ass chewed by interest rate and federal loans for student loan debt, you're going to want to make money too. So just understand the game, right? Scratch my back, I scratch yours. So don't think that taking a higher interest rate is not going to benefit you, because they're going to probably extend that payment out, and what would appear, it would look like, here's a smoke screen, it actually looks like a lower payment. But over time, these things can really, really dig into you. And that's why you've got to make those extra payments.
And here's the thing, because we are giving you this information, if all else fails, seek counseling. Talk to a financial advisor. Call your loan provider. Ask about some of those options. Make sure that whatever you're doing, you're putting yourself in the best financial situation. But if you need some extra support, again, talk to a financial advisor.
You want to talk about forbearance a little bit? You want me to touch on that?
Yeah, one of the things is as much as you can, avoid forbearance. Avoid it. What do you say?
I would say, I'd say you can toy around with forbearance, because it does stop the payment for a while.
But not the interest, right?
But not the interest. So the interest is going to continue to accrue. But some people may run into a situation to where, they have to put this thing in a forbearance. There may be an emergency. They may be trying to save for something that's important. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to always grant you forbearance, but you can at least ask and try. Forbearance right now is a very important topic, because a lot of people are putting their accounts into forbearance. But just remember, interest is the silent killer right here. That's the silent tax. That's what the U.S. propagates its ability to pay back some of its debt by implying silent tax, which is student loan debt as well, as they steadily increase interest rates. So forbearance, just know that it's not going to stop interest rates from accruing, but it can stop your payment for a while, to just kind of gather your thoughts and figure out exactly what you're going to do. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to figure something out. You're not just sitting there just hoping and waiting that this is going to go away, because it is not. Not only is student loan debt going to start eating away at your pockets, inflation is going to eat at your pockets. You may get laid off at your job. You may decide to expand your family. All these things you got to think about before creating new bills for yourself. So if you are going to take a pause and actually be proactive about some of the things that you're going to tackle in the very near future, because you got to come out of this. You got to come out of this a winner. You're either going to be on food stamps or buying Lambos, one of the two. Sitting around in the middle on this channel is not going to work. We either got to win or you're going to lose. So let's don't lose at the game of interest rates and student loan debt. You've got to win this game.